Hi, guys, and welcome to a new podcast. I'm your host, Flippin Evan. Today, we're going to be discussing some pretty important information of what's going on in the scooter industry right now. A lot of competition scene change-ups, and we really want to know some more information about it. That's what I'm here for today, is to help you guys understand what's going on right now with the USA Roller Sports, with Worldskate. Yeah, we've got a great interview for you guys today. But first, I want to give a big shout out to Scoot USA for sponsoring this podcast. They just launched their website. So if you guys would like to take a look at that, the link is going to be in the bio. And without further ado, I'd like to welcome our guest, Matthew Silvas, the owner of Fusion Pro Scooters and Bland Pro Shop, and the chair for the USA Roller Sports. Matthew, welcome.
Hey, how are you?
Doing great, doing great.
Quick correction for you. I don't own Fusion. I've
You
been
don't own Fusion.
managing that. No. I don't physically own it. I just kind of manage most of the day to day and the team and whatnot. But the other two, correct.
Okay, cool.
But
Perfect.
yeah.
So I guess my first question is, what is USA Roller Sports, and how is it connected to Worldskate, and where does that fall under like the big name of the Olympics?
Okay. Well, it probably is best to start at the top and kind of talk about the overall structure of that, because I think that kind of sheds light of what USA Roller Sports is.
Totally.
So every you guys, everybody knows the Olympics. It's great, cool.
Yeah.
The whole world gets together and watches this. Every category of sport has a governing body that the Olympics doesn't govern any of the sports. The Olympics sets rules and guidelines into place for overall sporting activities. They rely
Hmm.
on governing bodies of those categories of sports to kind of function on their own and fall in line with those guidelines. So
Mm.
for the Olympics, they recognize World Skate as the governing body for roller sports. That's
Roller
not
sports.
just action sports. Right now, skateboarding is in the Olympics. You have up and coming sport like BMX and whatnot. Uh,
Hmm.
kind of testing those waters. But you have like roller hockey and speed skating and all of that. World Skate is the governing body of all of those sports internationally. Everybody falls in
Mm.
line with what World Skate wants to do. It is just
Yeah.
a kind of a concept of authority. Everybody understands World Skate is what's going to govern our sport, because the Olympics is the goal that we all have, and the Olympics recognizes World Skate as that organization. So
Yeah.
it's just like any other government where for it to function, you have to recognize that they're the authority.
Yeah. Committees and subcommittees to help
Yeah, exactly.
get the
So
rules, and
at
yeah.
the next level, that's international
Yeah.
level. At the next level, World Skate can't do all of that for every country. So
Hmm.
they designate this the same way the Olympics recognizes World Skate. World Skate recognizes organizations on a national level to manage those same category of sports.
Cool.
Up until this year, some countries, including our own, have kind of been a mix where you have USA Roller Sports that manages some subset of sports. And then you have like USA Skateboarding that was separate, BMX being separate. World Skate has recently changed some rulings where they want one governing body
Hmm.
across the board for all of their sports. So
Right.
how that looks for skateboarding, BMX, and the USA Roller Sports relationship
Hmm.
is to be determined. I know they're working out some stuff, but that's not part of this equation. But eventually, whether it's the end of this year or going into next year, pretty much everybody is going to be kind of working under one set or one national governing body, whether that's USA
Trying
Roller
to
Sports
integrate everything.
at the top and we integrate skateboarding, or
Uh-huh.
there's a kind of something can kind of get wedged in between, and USA Skateboarding, BMX, and USA Roller Sports kind of work together uh, to kind of be that like kind of a collaborative effort for like something in between us and World Skate. We'll see.
Totally.
Not not the world that I'm currently living in. Not my problem. Um,
Yeah, you're more focused on what's going on in the scooter
we
industry.
got to get scooter. We got to get scootering off the ground first. World Skate asked USA Roller Sports to take on scootering. around the time of oh my god, my chair it just like dropped to take on scootering as a sport. They wanted to adopt scootering. This was prior to ISF folding. This was actually during their World Roller Games in Argentina. They asked Shelby Grimness to get involved and put together, a committee for scootering, who would be kind of best in the United States to like at least get the ball rolling. I'm sure there's other very capable people getting involved. Shelby just kind of looked within the people that she knew in the sport in the U.S. that would have an interest in this.
And
So
that's what was
we put
going on with
together
the invitations, like when
that
people were
that
getting
is what the
invites.
invitations were. Yeah, because
Okay.
we did. So she put together the well, she asked the people for the committee. It was us for up to us to kind of say yes. But in December of 2022, we had our first
Mhm.
committee meeting. We voted on the committee chair after a couple meetings, which ended up being me. And we've kind of worked behind the scenes all of 2023 to kind of plan out what this kind of looks like. It was a really
Yeah.
slow process the first like 6 to 8 months. But USA Roller Sports, if people don't know, they pretty much, like I said, they govern all of the sports that Worldskate kind of hosts for
Mm.
the US. This is from, just on our scale of scootering to the top tier like Olympic athletes. They are managing the comp scene. They are managing coaching, training, certifications. The, they deal with like grants to help underprivileged kids, like literally everything that
Oh,
encompasses all of the sports under their umbrella. They are governing that. All
okay.
the other sports are set up similar to how we are, where it's a committee. Some are a little bit more advanced. Most
Yeah.
are because we're new. But USA Roller Sports has been around for almost 100 years. It is,
USA Roller Sports.
yeah, yeah. It has a very long
Wow.
storied history. Uh,
Yeah, I heard Worldskate's been around for like 40 years. I didn't realize USA
yeah,
Roller Sports has been around even longer than that. That's interesting.
yeah. Their direct bio is kind of if you want the story, it's up on their website. You can just Google USA Roller Sports and kind
Sure.
of go through their about us and whatnot. They have a lot of detail. It's pretty interesting that they outdate World Skate. They outdate
Hmm.
most federations. They're one of the kind of longest standing federations of. Well, I mean, I think they probably are in terms of roller sports. But they outdate a lot of governing body or sporting governing bodies around the world. So yeah, they have a very storied history. I think they've gone through a couple name changes too, but
Okay.
it's been kind of the same organization.
That's really interesting.
Lot of history that we get to be
Yeah.
lumped in with. So very happy with working with them.
Yeah.
They are very excited about
I
scootering.
I think adding scootering to the mix is going to be really awesome. And actually, why don't we start looking at scootering and the competitions that are going to start happening? So
Yeah.
I wanna talk about what the difference is between like a qualifier and a sanctioned event, and and how to earn points to go to the World Championships, with which this year is in Rome, right?
Yes, yeah, yeah, yeah. They just really Worldskate just released their schedule for World Roller Games. It is Scootering Park is right outside of Rome, in a beach town
Mm,
called Ostia. It's like 20 minutes away.
Ostia.
Um, Beautiful town. So if you're a park rider and you make Worlds, you're gonna have a blast. The following week is the
Sweet.
street section, and that is literally a block away from the Coliseum. How
Yo, oh
who
my
who would ever
gosh.
thought scootering is going to be competing next to the gladiators, right? And it's the
We are the gladiators.
that's the world we live in now, though. That's kind of like something to kind of get across is like beforehand, these are the scooter comps. They're one offs.
Yeah.
They're we're competing for prizes within our own community. That's no one's ever going to know about what
Hmm.
so and so did at that competition. But now we're going from that to we're competing in basically like next door to the Coliseum
Yeah.
with several other sports, including skateboarding and whatnot, in front of the world. Like it is such a drastic change between. even 2 years, even a World Skate has been doing their World Roller Games and including scootering since
Hmm.
2019. Um,
Hmm.
it's still just such a drastic change in sports going through,
Yeah.
and we are now on the global map. We're not looking to just
And
impress
that's
our own community anymore.
yeah, and that's essentially the end goal is to make it
Hmm.
a watchable sport, like to make it so that people
Hmm.
are so engaged that it becomes like the gladiators where it's everyone crowds around just to watch these guys tough it out to see
Yeah,
who's the best kind of thing.
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah. You're
yeah.
seeing skateboarding go through that transition where it's becoming more and more of more and more of a spectator sport. I think they've already made that transition.
Yeah.
Um, where you have outside eyeballs that traditionally do not care about action sports watching skateboarding. It was one of their most viewed, if not their most viewed, outside of soccer, like
Mm.
sport in the Olympic level. So,
Hmm.
we're I hate to say that we're riding on the coattails of skateboarding, but without them kind of paving the way for us,
Of
like we
course.
wouldn't be going through
Yeah.
this transition so quickly. So, big props to them for putting in that work, making it
Acknowledgement
a
to
little
the
easier.
skaters.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. They may hate us, but we recognize that they put in the work. Maybe that's why they're a little bitter. That we get to kind of hang on that. But when it comes to our qualifiers, sanctioned events,
Yeah.
nationals, and getting to World Roller Games, and honestly any other World Skate sanctioned event that could be something with Urban World Series or possibly like a feast or any Worldskate Pro Tour, it's going to be the same process. You need
Okay.
to be one of the highest ranked. None of these events will be open invite. These are you have to go through your federation to be
You have to
invited.
earn it.
You have to earn it, and it's not going to be easy. It is the top ranked riders in the United States. You earn those points
Mm.
by attending our qualifiers and our nationals event. That's the only way to earn.
Hmm.
Well, you can also once you get invited, or once you're on the national team and you're competing at the international events, you earn points at those international events as well. But it's
Oh,
I could get to that in a little
if you
bit.
go to feast or Urban World Series, then
Yeah,
you're collecting points already.
if those are World Skate related events, yes.
Okay.
If you, but the difference is, and I'll actually go into that real quick. I The one thing we were mostly concerned about is like people who make the national team and then they're going international to go compete. What is their incentive to ever come back to the states and compete again if they're just racking up points internationally,
Yeah,
right?
that's a great question.
So the way that we built that was they are it's just the points you earn at international comps are kind of equivalent to our qualifiers. Qualifiers are a little less, worth a little
Mm.
bit less, point for point. But it is not like if you're the top American, you get first place. It is your first place. If you want the most amount of
Hmm.
points to earn at an international comp, you have to be first place in that comp. And the way we see it is if you go and win World Roller Games,
Yeah.
you've earned that position. You've earned that. If you get fifth
Yeah.
place, you've earned the fifth place equivalent, close to fifth or fourth place equivalent at our qualifier, roughly, right? Those
Oh,
event
okay.
levels are much different. So you can't really just stick to international events unless you're winning first place over and over again. You can't on the biggest skate stage
Oh,
with the best riders in the
okay.
world. You can't really just rely on those international points. It just
Yeah.
really kind of helps you alleviate having to do like a ton of travel back and forth once you get to that stage.
So, for example, uh, for like a first place in a qualifier, I heard was 20,000 points in your guys' last live stream. Is that
Yeah,
correct? Like in a
I
qualifier, if you
believe
get
so.
first.
I can pull it up right now because I don't want
Okay.
to leave any questionable. One, this information is on the USARollerSports scootering website, which is the link is on our Instagram. But
Cool. I'll also
yes,
have
you
it
are
down in my
right.
bio
Though
under the video.
the
Yeah.
first place for our qualifier. So if you go to Havasu and you win first place for Park, that is
Yeah.
20,000 points. If you go
20,000
to
points.
if you go to let's just say World Skate's doing a pro tour and you go to one of their events and you get first place, it's worth 30,000 points. But the difference
So
is
not
one
much
is your
more.
own. It's not much more. but it's 30% more. But you're also competing against
Okay.
the literal best riders in the world, the Jamie
In the
Halls, the
world.
Estebans, the Salinkas,
Yeah.
of the world.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we feel like if you take first place there, then you probably deserve a little bit more points than what we're offering at a qualifier. But the difference is
Yeah,
if you go with
of
one of those
course.
events and you earn 20th place or let's say 15th place, that's that's respectable on the international level, right? Especially when you
Yeah.
got a rider pool of like 50, right? But 15th place at an international event is 3,083 points. That is equivalent
Oh.
to 12th place at our qualifier.
Oh, okay.
So
That makes
yeah,
sense.
so
If you score lower in competition in the States, then you're going to be earning more points relative to what you'd be placed at like an international event.
yeah, we don't want international events to be what riders on the national who are already on the national team to rely on those
Yeah.
points to get them to nationals and to stay on the national team. You have to be able to if that is what you're going to rely on, if you're going to live overseas while you're on the national team, you better be coming in top
Hmm.
like the top three places against the best riders in the world because then that's the only way we can really justify like not like having you at our events because I don't think anybody's
Yeah.
going to argue. You know, let's just use let's use Chris. You know, as an example, no one's going to argue that you know if he's done. I still don't believe he's done competing, but if he's not done, no one's going to argue Chris deserves to be on the national team. Period. But
Mm.
within our system, you have to still earn it. So if he just said, "Hey, I want to live in the UK for the next year," well, he's already on the national team, and if he were to go to those international events and
Hmm.
win or take top three in two of them, and then he would still have to come to our nationals. So that's still required. So he'd come back,
Oh,
go to our
okay.
nationals. He would remain on the national team without actually having to compete in our qualifiers because we think that's fair. But if he makes the
Oh.
national team and then he does that and he comes in 15th place or 20th place for whatever reason in two of those events, he probably doesn't have enough points, and now he's on now he's really has to come back to the states and maybe do a qualifier and come in top five and do nationals,
Hmm.
right? So
Yeah.
it's a brutal process, but that's the way it should be if we're talking,
Yeah.
representing the country.
And I love that to be able to earn your way up to not only worlds but other international events is really what I
Yeah.
think should have been happening all this time. And the fact that we're getting started now, I love to see it.
Yeah, and the one
Yeah.
thing some people have asked me, I want to kind of address is like we gave some people opportunity last year to go and compete without a ranking system, right? And so maybe
Uh-huh.
those people have a little bit of a head start over others. Uh,
Okay.
Going into this year, and we totally understand that. We gave a lot of thought last year when we had to kind of give when we had to give ranking or like who we wanted to send or when we sent out invites. When we sent those for Madrid and Barcelona, um, the committee gave a lot of thought. We each individually listed out like in each division like 25 of who we thought was the top riders in order, right? And then
Yeah.
we collected that data and we debated what are the discrepancies if someone had Hunter in eighth but someone else had him in two and those were or if everybody had him in the top three then then we kind of know, okay, that make if we only have six spots and he's in the top six of everybody's, that he probably needs an invite. But if there's half the committee had him below the threshold and the other half had him way high, then we need to have that conversation of where he lives. So we kind of
Yeah.
collected that and became a collective sum of a ranking of the riders currently in the U.S. We, then sent out invites, waited for the yeses and nos, and then afterwards we had to make some tough decisions on like do we extend invites to some older guys that might be exiting the comp scene who are on that threshold, or do we
Mm.
provide new opportunities to some youngsters coming up that could really benefit from an international event? One being like Omar. Omar
Oh,
got the
yeah.
invite
Omar's
and
killing
he
it.
took third place in junior. Like he blew up. Like, it
Wow.
was incredible. So we were very happy that we decided to give him. He's not super big in the scene yet, like small following, like not everybody's heard of him, but we knew of him, so we gave him the opportunity
Yeah.
to go. He made it
Dude goes
happen, and
high.
he killed it. So I think we
Yeah.
made the right. So and that ends that. We gave a head start to some, but it was either that
Hmm.
or we don't have anybody representing the U.S. Um,
Yeah, no national team.
yeah, yeah, no
If
national
if
team.
you hadn't done that. So
So
I guess I
yeah,
that brings me to the next question about the qualifiers.
Mhm.
So if you want to start competing, what's the youngest that you
we
can
have
be for to enter a qualifier?
qualifier. The youngest you can be is 10. That
10.
that would be in our junior division. It's 10 to 17, which is obviously a very big difference.
Hmm.
If we're being honest here, we don't expect too many 10-year-olds to come out and be like so dominant that they can compete with 16, 17-year-olds. We understand that. That is the age range that Worldskate uses for their national teams, for the
Hmm.
junior division. We follow that. It would be weird if we did not. If we chose, say, hey,
Yeah.
junior division is 14 to 17, right? Or then you have or let's say we did the other end where it was 8. Then what if you did have a 9-year-old that somehow collected all those points and somehow they've earned enough to make the national team, but they can't go because like we didn't want to create any gray areas for the national team spots. So for junior men's and women's, so we followed Worldskate's recommendations to a T, so that there was no any confusion, and we created some consistency from our governing body to theirs.
If you want to compete, you have to be a member, correct?
Yes, yeah.
Can
That
we
is
learn a little bit more about the membership?
Yeah, that is probably the biggest change. No, I think that is the biggest change. People are used to going to events, paying for registration, competing, earning points,
Hmm.
and whatever that means is what it means. Um, there is an added wrinkle because of how USA Roller Sports is funded. It is a membership based nonprofit. Everyone
Okay.
here doing this work is volunteer. The only
Uh,
people that are paid are the videographers and photographers and our judges and whatnot at the physical events. But the committee
yeah.
itself it's completely volunteer. Everything I do is volunteer. Those memberships, it is shared amongst all of the sports. What that does is, and then I guess I should say that the USA Roller Sports head office, which is about 5 people in Lincoln, Nebraska, they are paid employees because that's their little full time job to run the nonprofit. But what the membership does is it ensures that every event we do is fully insured. It
Hmm.
pays to run these events. What
The membership
most
does.
people don't really fully understand the cost to run an event. It is
Yeah.
very, very expensive. If you guys remember, the past in the U.S., prize purses have been lacking. There may be a
Hmm.
lot of sponsors, but it's lacking. The prize purses were lacking. No one should have. If we're gonna, if this sport is to be taken seriously, you can't go to a nationals event and earn the first place pro earn, 1,000 bucks or less.
Yeah.
Like the
They're doing
winning
it for
needs
a
to
living.
be. Yeah, exactly, and that's one of the. And again, there's I'm not throwing shade at the ISF or anything. It's a foundational issue that they had with membership or with funding, right? If
Hmm.
sponsorships fell off, if the industry wasn't doing so hot like it is right now, um, sponsors wouldn't be on board, and without that sponsorship money and the registration, they wouldn't be running events. And on top of that, even with all those things and when things were good, it was never really enough to help price purses. So what the membership does, again, it's a shared pool with all the other sports. We get to rely on USA Roller Sports to kind of help us pay for things. Um, Granted, given our size, we have to be respectful to not over ask. But it ensures all of our qualifiers to the maximum
Hmm.
amount. It ensures our staff is not paying out of pocket to go to the events and run
That's
them
important.
appropriately,
Yeah.
because that is how you keep volunteers. If they're having to pay a couple grand out of their pocket, or 50 whatever 1,000 bucks to go to an event, and run the event before, during, and after, those volunteers aren't going to last very long. But if they're able to
Hmm.
do this and not have to take out of their own pockets to be there, it helps. Um,
Yeah.
and again, the insurance is the big one.
Yeah.
It also goes towards like some grants and stuff that USA Roller Sports as a whole is able to provide to other athletes that are underprivileged, stuff like that. But it just allows us to operate pretty freely. What that registration does is it pays for kind of the other half of the event
Uh-huh.
costs, whether it's city fees, the barricades and bleachers that you got to pay, but that stuff adds up real quick.
Yeah, it does.
What we're doing is, I mean, at least how I'm budgeting all of our stuff is we're taking in membership, and as those memberships grow, we're going to designate that money to go right back to either running our events or back to the prize purses or whatever it is. Registration goes right back. All of the funding from the registration goes back to that immediate event, and it does not go
Oh,
spread across the other events. Membership does. Membership we kind of equally distribute based on
yeah.
event size. Registration goes right back to that specific event. And
Hmm.
then all of our sponsorship money. You're going to see some amazing partners this year. All of their sponsorship money and donations go right back to the prize purses and paying
Hmm.
our judges. Those are the two big ticket items.
Prize
Um,
purses and judges.
Prize purses and making sure our judges are fairly paid so that, and their accommodations. What we don't want is
Yeah.
like, not
Oh,
the,
all right. So,
uh,
camera died. I'm back.
okay. All right. So as Worldskate launches this certification process, they'll all be certified. Right now, we're working with a set of judges handpicked by Cam Ward. Cam Ward being the head
Hmm.
judge of Worldskate, also our head judge. We want to make sure that also, not only our immediate like staff not pulling out of pocket, but also our judges. The judges don't want to be there if they're going to have to pay out of pocket to be there. We want
Yeah,
them
of
fairly
course.
paid while they're there, and that their accommodations are taken care of. That is how an organization should be run. So,
Yeah.
because if you want the best, if you want the most consistent, you need people who want to be there, who can make sure that they can be there.
Yeah.
Because not everybody's in the same financial situation that can just take an L to be there to volunteer, right? But if they're the
Yeah.
best, they're the best. So that sponsorship money goes to prize purses and our judges, kind of make sure that their food, accommodations, if not all of their travel, and then a daily rate. So,
Yeah.
like I said, it's very expensive to run things appropriately. Um, but that's not just our goal, but that's what we're doing. So
Yeah.
and obviously, I think we're in a position right now where, given the state of the sport economically, uh,
Hmm.
plus many brands being burnt in the past by
Hmm.
previous organizers and not feeling super comfortable with regardless of USA Roller Sports' history or storied history, maybe some hesitancy from on the brand side on sponsorship and unloading a ton of cash. I understand it as someone who's kind of managed the budget for Fusion in the past. You want to put your money where you can trust it's being used most efficiently. We're in the position right now where maybe the sponsors aren't as heavily invested or interested as
Hmm.
we want, but that's on us to make sure that year one is as successful as possible, so that next
Yeah.
year they double down and support us, whether it's financially or in other ways. The best we can ask for right now is just making sure that pushing those sponsors to make sure their riders are kind of at our events. Better top tier talent we got, the better our events are. So, like I said, even with what we have and how we're functioning, we expect our prize purses to kind of pretty vastly eclipse what we've experienced in the past in the U.S. specifically. We're not
Totally.
quite there yet on being able to
Hmm.
offer what Worldskate's offering at the international level, given that's much bigger money being involved. We're not too far off.
My next question is about sanctioned events. How can a local skate park apply to have their events sanctioned? And what is the benefits of being sanctioned rather than just hosting it themselves and finding
Yeah.
the prizes and
The first part of that, explaining what they are, pretty easy. The second
yeah.
part's a little tricky, year one, and we've talked about that one already. The sanctioned events are something that I'm probably going to end up being the most proud of. I No, and I think we can all agree that the survival and success of a sport is not going to be currently or it's not going to be dependent on the people who are at the top right now, but it's
Hmm.
at the people that are going to be at the top
In the
in
future.
3, 4 years from now. It
Hmm.
is that core group of young kids. That is why the industry is struggling. We're having a hard time getting kids on their second, third, fourth scooter. There's a lot of factors in play with that, but one of them has been just the sheer lack of community outreach and involvement nationwide. It's
Hmm.
a very laborious activity to give back to your community.
Yeah.
Um, and there's no, in terms of like a financial standpoint, it's really hard to track what those benefits are. But bigger picture on a macro level, I think everybody understands that making sure that kids have those life memories of those ones that stick with you your whole life. Those are the memories that will get them onto their cheap razor, or
Yeah.
their, in Fusion's cases, the X3,
The
onto
one you can buy at Target
yeah, the one that you can
or
buy at Target,
yeah.
or Mad Gear or something like that, to get them from that first interaction to going to their local skate shop and buying a $250 custom, or a cheaper custom,
Yeah.
and then getting them involved into buying a full custom street complete that is $700. Um, that transition from step one to step two, step three, to get there, it requires a lot of involvement from the pillars of the community, whether it's a skate park, a skate shop, a city park
Big time.
manager, the manufacturers coming down and doing ride days, the pro riders having small interactions. All of those create those life memories, and we're trying to create a more structured um, place for us to do that. Um, and I'll get to the way that our sanctioned events will look, but
Hmm.
um, before I do, if you go look at other sports, you go look at roller hockey, speed skating, whatever it may be, all of those parks around, even in the non-roller space, the ice hockey, you go to an ice skating, rink, or a hockey rink that's set up maybe Long Island or something. Every one of those parks, including one we're all familiar with, Escondido,
Hmm.
that does other sports, they are very familiar with USA Roller Sports. Their entire foundation is
Oh.
set up using the structure that USA Roller Sports has put into place for that specific sport.
Hmm.
Whether from the start to beginning, membership, their coaching that they do, all of those coaches are certified USA Roller Sports coaches.
Oh,
Those coaches
cool.
are members of USA Roller Sports. They go through certification programs within our system, and there's levels of coaching that you can move up and then get paid more, and
Yeah.
become a national team coach or assistant coach or something like that. It's a little bit different for scootering, you know, admittedly,
Yeah.
but you
Totally.
know that's on us to kind of figure out what that looks like. And so so I'll jump right into this what our sanctioned events kind of look like and how people can get involved. Is
Yeah.
sanctioned event, the focus is providing a place for the beginner and intermediate divisions. That's from 8 to kind of 14 ranges, I believe, where all of that lives, with a little
Get
bit
them
of gray area in
started.
between.
Yeah.
Exactly, it's a place to get them started. We're pretty flexible. If a small community has a lot of 5-year-olds, 6-year-olds, go ahead,
Yeah.
call it whatever you want. If it's let's say Chino or Esco is going to do a sanctioned event, they're pretty accustomed to hosting like top tier talent, right?
Hmm.
They, even though we can't offer ranking points at those, some of those places might follow our structure to a T after intermediate and go with a junior and AM, a men's, women's. Some might have a medley in between and may not justify doing all of those. So they might just do like an open or an advanced, right?
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, what we care about is that there is a place for the beginners and the intermediates to start to find a love of, whether it's competing or being around their friends in a
Yeah.
competitive environment, and kind of taking part in their community.
Hmm.
What we also want to facilitate is making sure that community members, or the pillars of those communities, whether it's, like I said, park owners, shops, whatever, that have the ability to run an event of any size, start doing so. They
Yeah.
need to be incentivized to do so. Some of the barriers to that are financial. It's They don't want to bring in judges. They don't want to pay for judges. They don't have the time to man. Maybe it's most are multi-sport. Maybe they're not familiar with scootering too much. They don't feel comfortable with it.
Hmm.
Maybe I'll use Modern Skate Park outside of Detroit. That is the oldest standing skate park or indoor skate park in the U.S. They are legends. I grew up
Mm.
watching video parts from Modern, of all my favorite skaters growing up. They sell scooters. They allow scooters in their park now. The staff there are not familiar with scooters, but they want to get involved, right?
Cool.
There's park managers all over the U.S. that are coming from skateboarding or BMX that are not familiar with scooters. You will not see a scooter competition there
Hmm.
because they don't know how to run it. And the best they can
Yeah.
do is like ask some local kid to judge it,
Yeah.
and then just say, okay, have fun. Like, but there's no real structure, right? And there's a
Yeah.
lot of them. There's more than you would think. So for a park that is very familiar with scootering, has run scooter events in the past, it may not have the ultimate benefit right now to have your event sanctioned. We
Hmm.
are going to come in. I would be there, or another committee will be there. Ask us to do whatever. Move some fences, help you move a ramp. Set up banners. We're there at your disposal. We're your
Hmm.
free volunteer staff all day. Um, we are going to bring in a certified judge, somebody who's trained by Cam or one of our other judges, to be the head judge and kind of like help organize that side of it. We're using our event registration platform. We're using our judging platform. We are going to. There was another part of that, but I'm spacing.
Melting.
We're gonna help train some of those other judges that may not be super caught up. That's one of the barriers, is like to run those events even at the small scale. It's pretty expensive, and you have to
Yeah.
try to break even. We're trying to eliminate all of those costs and put those on our shoulders, and that's what like why you would have to be a USA Roller Sports member. Is like you become
Yeah.
a member. Now it's a one-time fee for the year. So if you're doing multiple
Hmm.
sanction events, like those costs come down quick. But the registration fees go right back to the park. So they're right off the bat, they're
Oh,
pretty close
cool.
to it. They're at a net zero. We're able to come in, provide our systems, our judges, which we can still be flexible on like formatting and stuff like that. Kind of get everybody started being accustomed to being in the system, which was a massive benefit. But on the other side of that, for those parks and whatnot that aren't familiar with scootering, that can't run that, we can take more. I mean, we're not going to, it's still their event. We don't have the manpower to like take the lead, but we can provide more insight. We can make sure that they know how to run a scooter comp. If you don't know scootering, how are you going to get a hold of manufacturers to sponsor that event, to get you goods, to help provide prizes for the kids that want to come compete, right? Well, that's where we also come in. Is we know everybody, right? Between Shelby and I and the rest of the committee, we literally know everybody. So,
Hmm.
and these brands are very, very committed to making sure that it benefits them in multiple ways, but also they truly do want to give back. So we're able to act as that kind of like that middle body in between, to kind of make sure that they're connected with the right people. And at the end of the day, if that park owner that doesn't know anything about scootering is now connected with the scootering industry, and they now
Hmm.
know some of the manufacturers, maybe they start carrying scooters. Maybe they're
Yeah.
able to bring in, and maybe now we're boosting sales for some of the manufacturers that got involved.
Hmm.
And the shop or the park is now able to has a new source of revenue. So
Hmm.
it's just a win-win across the board, and the only real requirement is that, and it's mostly for insurance purposes, that everybody is a USA Roller Sports member. If we're going to slap our name on it, we have to be able to protect ourselves and protect the riders.
Yeah, of
So,
course.
the especially on the sanction event levels, like The insurance part of it is not a huge deal like the qualifiers one, where we're fully insuring everything. But
Hmm.
there has to be some level of protection on both fronts. There's that, and then on top of that, obviously the benefit for us on top of that is like the more members from the sanctioned event. That portion of that is probably going to be divvied back into our ability to run bigger and better qualifiers
Yeah.
and national events, right? If we do 20 sanctioned events throughout the year and they're kind of like self-sufficient, that's a lot of members. We'll be able to provide a service for those parks, but the added benefit is those extra member fees that we don't necessarily have to use get put right back into the sport at the higher end to do whatever we need to do to make the event more of a spectator sport.
Yeah.
Or because we care about the other sports too. If we're in year 4 and our membership is exploding and freestyle rollerblades comes on board, they may need a little
Yeah.
help. Now they
Hmm.
can rely on the pool of membership that we've provided and the other sports provided to kind of help boost them. Because at the end of the
Yeah.
day, all that matters is that people are outdoors and competing in these parks because that is what keeps the park alive, which keeps the culture alive. So
Culture is
long-winded, like
super
every other
important.
answer I have. That's the way it goes. Um,
Yeah. That's okay. That's good.
uh,
Last real question is kind of continuing on the community. What can the community do and friends of riders, parents do to ultimately support USA Roller Sports and the competition scene if they want really see it become successful? And would there potentially be any volunteer opportunities?
well, the biggest one is just come compete. Don't have
Come compete.
even I get it, the upfront costs of a and membership and registration is a lot. It is. What we're trying to do is not just create a scooter competition, but to create an environment that's just fun to be at and to participate in. Um,
Yeah.
if you are interested and you want to make sure that the long-term success of this is beyond your wildest dreams, what we ask is you become a member and come compete, whether it's at a sanctioned event or at a qualifier, and hopefully we see everybody at nationals, because a nationals with 400 competitors would be freaking great. um the second thing is,
400.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we're doing the beginner and intermediate divisions for those that want to take it a little bit more seriously. We're doing those
Hmm.
divisions at nationals. So
Okay.
if you compete in a sanctioned event, you qualify and you can come to our
Hmm.
nationals and you're good. So there's a realistic chance that we have 250 plus kids. Year one, that's kind of what we're expecting, but who knows how far that goes. I hope that our nationals turns into a week long event one day.
Wow.
How insane would that be, right? You go get
That would be a
Nitro Circus
dream.
and all those like awesome sponsors involved, and it becomes a full thing. Forget X Games; they don't want us. Then we like
Yeah.
well, I say that, but like we would love to be in the
We,
X Games. Please take
we
us.
want to be on
But
X Games, but
um,
we don't see
but
eye
if
to eye.
we have to do it ourselves, we can do it ourselves. It just takes
Yeah.
everybody getting involved. The next thing you can do is, if you have um, a solid community and a skate shop in your area that puts on competitions. Like, these competitions again don't need to be massive.
Yeah.
They can be for you and your homies and the auxiliary people within like an hour to come and compete. Even if it's for like $100 or some gift cards, like, let them do a community based thing and start getting them involved. So tell them about USA Roller Sports. Tell your friends. Share all of our posts. Talk to your skate
Hmm.
shop, right? Your scooter shop, your park owner. If it's a city owned and managed park, talk to them about it. Say, they probably know about USA Roller Sports. Most city owned parks that I've talked to know of USA Roller Sports. So
Cool.
talk to them about the scootering section of it. That's probably the two biggest things. Like I said, I want everybody involved. Year one, given that, like I was saying, that like I probably will have to be at all the events, and given everything else, we're probably gonna have to limit the amount of sanctioned events we do through until nationals, and then we'll probably free it up a little bit after nationals. Because there's no other competitions after the World Roller Games and stuff. Even if people are reaching out right now and saying, "Hey, we want to get involved, and we can't figure something out for this year, um,
Hmm.
or this half of the year or whatever it is, scheduling doesn't work," that doesn't mean the conversation hasn't started. And now we can start working on things for put them on schedule for 2025, or if it's an indoor park, we do some stuff in November, December, or whatever it is. And as this gets bigger, we will probably need to relinquish like the stipulation that like one of the committee members has to be there. As long as if we
Hmm.
build that relationship with that park and they've run a couple events, then we can trust them that we don't need to be there, but they know how to operate our system. We will still send our judge, and everything will be, operating the way we hope it would. So
Yeah.
get involved, share the information, engage in that information, ask questions, and talk to people. Those are the thing. And then at event volunteering, you know, pick up your trash. That's
Pick up your
we got volunteers.
trash.
I mean, we got be considerate. We got most of that stuff
Yeah.
covered. We got a great committee. We got manufacturers that'll be or like the brands that'll be out there. We got plenty of amazing parents that we all know that will be out there early to help set up stuff. If you're out there early training, if you're a parent, ask me, ask the committee member, how can you help?
Yeah.
It's as simple as that. But the big just pick up your trash and
Pick up your trash.
keep your scooter out the way. Like those
Oh,
are the
that's a
two
big
things.
one.
Yeah. Oh, that's my biggest one. Trust me. Uh, from throwing your scooters everywhere, I'm
Yeah.
hard pressed to buy some 2x4s at Havasu and build a scooter stand, um,
That's
and
probably
require
smart.
it. Like I hate being that
Yeah.
guy, but no one wants to be stepping over 10,000 scooters. Parents don't want to do it. We don't want to do it.
Write
So
little sticky tickets that you could like put on scooters that are just laying
the
around.
concierge
Yeah.
check them. I mean, I saw it, in Madrid. One thing, you can't walk anywhere. The people with cameras are tripping over handlebars. I was like, why don't we just take like those? Why don't we just take those little hooks that you for like garage organization, like just
Oh yeah.
drill it into the back of the ramp, and then like on a massive plaque of wood that's hooked into the ramp, and then just hang scooters. Solves the problem.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, pick up your trash and put your scooter somewhere that's not in the way. There we go. That's how you can help us.
There you go.
Yeah, it's simple, simple.
Yeah. Well, that's
But
awesome. Well, I think that's pretty much it. Uh, Matthew, thank you so much for coming out. I know you're a busy guy, and just coming here and answering questions is huge for the community for me. And yeah,
no,
I really appreciate it. Uh,
no worries. It's my pleasure.
So, guys, if you want to help with the community, pick up your trash, come to the events. Next competition is going to be in Arizona at Lake Havasu on the 8th
Yeah.
for the street competition and the 9th for the park competition in the bowl. If you guys need to know any more information, you can go to the USARollerSports website or Instagram page. They have all the future events there and the committee members and all that. So if you guys need any more information, visit them, and I'll hopefully have a little bit more information, like where potentially to get membership, down in my description here. Yeah, if you guys enjoyed the video, please like, subscribe, comment if you want to see more videos
No,
like this, and I'll happily bring more people on. Yeah, I think that's a wrap. Matthew, thank you so much.
no worries. Thanks for
And now,
having me.
yeah, my
Later, guys.
pleasure.